At first glance, the Teletubbies were supposed to be harmless, a soft, colorful children's show made for very young kids, built around repetition, slow movement, simple language, and bright visual stimulation. That was the official idea when the show launched in the United Kingdom in 1997. Four strange creatures: Tinky Winky, Dipsy, La La, and Po. A peaceful green landscape, a smiling sun with a baby's face. Everything about it was designed to feel safe, simple, and easy for a toddler's mind to process. But there was always something unsettling hiding underneath it, because even though the show was clearly made for children, a lot of adults could not shake the feeling that something about it was deeply off. And that reaction was not random. The Teletubbies looked human enough to feel familiar, but not human enough to feel normal. They had round faces, large eyes, fixed expressions, upright bodies, and recognizable emotions. But then came the details that pushed them into something much stranger. Antennas on their heads, television screens in their stomachs, unnaturally smooth movements, blank stares. A world that felt empty, artificial, and almost too quiet. And that is where the discomfort begins, because the human brain is trained to recognize faces and bodies almost instantly. We are constantly scanning for what is human, what is alive, and what is safe. But when something looks almost human while still being slightly wrong, it can trigger a strange psychological discomfort. It feels familiar, but distorted, soft, but unnatural, childlike, but not innocent in the way we expect. This is why so many adults found the Teletubbies disturbing even if they could not explain why. For a baby, that design works. It is simple, repetitive, and visually strong. But for an older mind, the same design can feel surreal, even eerie. It sits in that strange space between comfort and unease. And the setting only makes that feeling stronger. The Teletubbies do not live in a normal house. They exist in a bright open landscape that almost feels too clean, too isolated, too controlled. The hills are smooth, the sky is empty, the sounds are soft, mechanical, and repetitive. The entire world feels less like a natural place and more like an enclosed system designed for observation. Then there is the baby sun, one of the most iconic and disturbing images from the entire show. To a child, it is playful. To an adult, it is uncanny. A human infant face floating in the sky, laughing silently over a landscape of silent creatures, creates an image that feels dreamlike in the worst possible way. Not because it is violent, but because it feels wrong without explaining why. And that kind of wrongness tends to stay in people's memory much longer than ordinary children's television. But maybe that is exactly the point. Maybe the Teletubbies were never bizarre by accident. Maybe they were perfectly engineered for a mind that had not yet developed the same filters as an adult. For a 1-year-old, the repetition is soothing, the slow movement is readable, the simple words are easy to imitate, the exaggerated shapes are easy to recognize. The show is not trying to entertain an adult brain, it is trying to communicate with a very early developmental stage, and that is what makes it feel so strange to everyone else. Adults look at it with a fully developed sense of realism, facial recognition, and social expectation. Babies do not. Babies are not asking why these creatures have screens in their stomachs, or why the world feels abandoned. They are just responding to shapes, rhythm, color, and sound. So the real reason the Teletubbies felt sinister may not be because they were secretly dark, but because they were built so precisely for infant perception that, when viewed through adult eyes, they seem to belong to a reality that no longer makes sense. And maybe that is why the show still unsettles so many people years later, because it was never meant for the world as we understand it now. It was made for a mind still learning what a face is, what language is, and what comfort looks like. So in the end, maybe the Teletubbies were not sinister because they were wrong. Maybe they were sinister because they were almost perfectly right for a stage of the human mind most of us no longer remember. And that leaves one final question. When you were a child, did they feel normal to you, or did some part of you already sense that there was something strange hiding there?